Hello, friends, and welcome. My name is Autumn, and I will be guiding you through this craft. It's a tree that represents community, and the title of this craft is Grounded in Community. So we're going to be using this template to decorate a tree and practice a few different motor skills. And you, the artist, should have a helper with you. And that helper will be responsive if you need a break, if you need assistance, whatever you need. You can also pause this video at times and create this at your own pace. And remember, no art project has to be completed in one day or one sitting. Sometimes the best art has those periods of breaks in between. So feel free to take a break as needed. I'm going to explain all the materials I have that we're using today and some of the techniques that will help you be most successful. And then we're just going to dive in and see what happens, because a lot of art is just starting, it's beginning, and seeing where the project goes and how it unfolds. And I really love that about art, especially when you're making more impressionistic art, abstract. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. It can have a life of its own. Okay, so first, today I did print out a template of a tree. This is kind of what I'm going to see like a sketch. So I'm not going to feel like I have to stay in these lines at all, but they give me an idea of where my branches are going to go. And then of course, I'm going to be adding leaves and some sponging designs of moss. And I can take liberty of how I want to apply that here. So what I'm going to do is tape this. I have a stand. You could also do this flat if you want. It's sometimes helpful to do it on a stand. And I get a piece of cardboard as a background. And then I'm going to actually tape this up a little higher, probably with two pieces, because I want to make sure I can get this bottom. And I need to have access to it because it's so close to my ledge. So helper, feel free to set up the project in the way that will best serve the artist. And then what I'm going to use is some larger brushes and some smaller ones for accent colors. I've got sponge brushes. You could also use sponges that are kitchen sponges, just chopped up. I'm using washable watercolors here. I've got the tree color designs. They don't have a brown, so I'm actually going to use acrylic brown paint, but I have some white too, so I can do some shading. I've got water to rinse my brushes, and of course, baby wipes, paper towel, things to clean up. And I like to use disposable paper plates for our crafts because these are small ones. You can put one color on each one, and so you don't have to worry about that mixing that can sometimes happen when you're doing a palette. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and set up to start with the tree. We're gonna start with our tree trunk. And the motion is going to be an upward stroke where I will move my hands, my whole arm, gross motor upwards, and just kind of follow along the ledges of the tree, the edges of the tree. And I'm going to go ahead and put some brown and some white. And I actually found a black. So they had a black washable paint that looks like a dark brown. So this will kind of be blending. So I'm going to put these all on one paper plate. Some paint is thicker than others if you haven't used it for a while. Okay, that was a lot. You see, guys? Sometimes that happens, okay? So paint is paint, and it's okay if you use a little bit more than is necessary for these projects. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start by dipping a medium-sized brush just in the main brown. And you might need to add some water to acrylic. I notice how thick this is. So I'm going to dip my paintbrush in some water and get it a little softened. You can mix it, whatever works. And I'm just going to start at the bottom and go upwards, not really trying to be too particular yet. So bottom of the tree and straight up a trunk. Let's try to get, let's see, there's 6. So we're going to make sure we do all 6 motions here. starting from the bottom and going up the tree trunk. And now that you've got the main 6 branches, you can kind of look at the smaller ones and just kind of go. And as you see, this is not perfect. This is just, it's just like a template for me. I'm going down now towards the tree with this motion. So start at the edge and go inward toward the tree. And you might see some of the white areas that you can cover a little better. And if you want to make it look a little more precise, just go slower. And I'm just getting those branches, for the most part, covered. Whoop, you guys see that big chunk of paint? Just spread it out. It happens. All right, so that's like my main color. Now I'm pulling it down. So you can practice with the pulling the up, pulling the paint down, and this gives you a direction with all the branches. So just get comfortable with that motion. We're gonna be repeating it with a different color. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just use the same brush after I rinse it with some white. And I'm gonna just start adding some white. Maybe not as much as I did with the brown, and it kind of will mix. And you know what I like to do is wipe my paintbrush off if I feel like it's mixing too much. And this is just putting those little highlights of either sun or bark, how bark just looks different, it's textured. So go ahead and blend a little bit with your brush. If you can see that, you kind of see it, it's starting to look like a tree. Okay, I accidentally dipped my brush in brown, so I just put it back in white. It'll be all right. We'll mix a little. And as you'll notice, like that template underneath is gonna hardly be visible. So let's go ahead and start at the top and pull it again from the branches toward the tree trunks. And then after we do the white, we have one final color, and I'm going to do the darker. You could do it the other way too if you wanted. Darker first and then the white. I don't want to use too much of the black because I like how it looks right now. So I'm just going to use, and I have a lot of black here, right? Don't feel like you have to use it just because you have a lot. I think I'm going to start at the top and kind of pull inward. Okay, just a little dip. And we're just adding the accent black here. Maybe it's a little bit of a shadow. We're making the bark look just a little bit more unique. And don't worry about your edges if they're kind of rough like mine, because we're going to be adding branches on there anyways. I'll see if maybe I can move the camera for a close-up. You'll be able to see all the different little nuances of these colors. And we're just really blending them on the paper because they're still wet. Okay, so let me give you a little close-up. All right, there's my tree, kind of close up. You can see it's just really kind of impressionistic. Nothing is perfect. Different shades and colors, all represented, different directions with those branches. All right, so I might recommend pausing and taking a break at this point and letting this dry a little bit before you start the green, because I don't want the brown and the green to blend too much. So now's the perfect time to have a bathroom break, have a snack, a movement break, whatever feels good for your body. All right, welcome back. We are now at the part to start adding leaves and moss. So for the leaves, I'm going to begin with using a medium-sized brush, and I'm going to put some different shades of green. You decide if you want it darker or lighter. I still have that black, which a lot of it, so I might add a little bit to make mine a little on the darker side. But I'm definitely going to be using a dark green, a light green, a yellow, and a white. And you can put them on different plates if that helps, or maybe 2 on each plate. So I'm going to go ahead and put my green, and you can be generous with this, on one plate, and the whites and the yellows on the other. They're more like accent. And sometimes your watercolor dries up a little, so you just add water to it and shake. Brings it right back to life. All right. And there's some lighter green. And I'm going to put another plate here with my yellow and white. And the more plates you have, just be careful you don't put your elbow in them if they're on the table. Okay. Once we get all of these options, I'm going to actually be designated 1 sponge for each color when I get to that part, because that way I don't have to keep track. Or I can mix a little bit at some point, but it's nice to begin with 1 sponge per each color. So for the brush though, I'm going to go ahead and probably rinse and reuse this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the dark green. And I'm going to bring it to the top, and I'm going to make like a downward motion, like a weeping willow. So I'm just going to try to find top of a brush, a branch, and make it go down. And mine's even going to kind of overlap the stem. That's not a big issue if it does that. Or you can go behind it if you'd like. If you want to pick up and go behind the branches too, that's good. And just a downward motion. Looks like hair on my tree, and we're going to give it a little bit of a fluff up. So I'm going to curve upward a little bit with my brush. I'm kind of getting the white area now between the branches. And then I'm just going to bring it down, and it's okay if it overlaps, because a lot of times that's what leaves do. Okay, so getting some of the background there and just bringing it down. And then I will be content with my dark green. Okay, there's my dark green. Now I'm going to go ahead, I might rinse. And I'm going to add a light green. And now I'm going to kind of look for the areas that are white, that are still in need of a color. And I'm going to kind of fill in the area, still kind of going downward. So I'm looking for the area that might need some color. I'm pulling downward. And when I get to the bottom part here, it's totally fine to kind of blend with it. So I'm beginning at the top, overlapping, finding a few of the white areas, and bringing it down. I can bring it right over top of the tree branch. Let's just bring it down right over top of that branch. See how I did that? Right over top. And a lot of white down here might want to be blended. I see a little bit on this side I want to get, so I'm going to pull it outward and down. And I see a little bit where my brown kind of blended, it wasn't dry. That's okay, it actually looks cool. It actually looks like the technique that, when there's some brown leaves dying in the tree. It happens sometimes. Okay, so I've got those 2 colors on. And now I think I'm going to go to a smaller brush for some accent color. So here's a little tinier brush I'm going to use. And we're going to get some yellow in there. And just find places to just add some yellow. It can be kind of random. It can be designated in a spot. I can see how I'm getting a lot of green on my brush, so I'll just wipe it out. And it kind of looks a lot like the the other light green, so not too much showing with my yellow. So maybe I want to do white instead. So let's get that clean. And now I'm going to take the white and let's just see if I can add some accent white, some lighter at the top maybe. Or just find a spot where maybe the sun is hitting and try to blend and bring it down. Okay, it's just whatever you want to do. I don't want to add too much of the white, but just a little bit where the sun might be hitting my tree. And maybe it's going to be a little bit on the inside, overlapping some of my branches here. And you know, if you get too much of a color and you're like, I don't really like that, go back and bring a green in. There. So you see my tree? Very different. Lots of shades blended. All right, now I'm going to move to the moss at the bottom of the tree. I'm going to begin by using this brush for a darker green. And you're going to want to hold your cardboard most likely, or the helper can hold the cardboard for the artist. And just sponge that ground, imagining it is covered in moss. About an inch of the ground kind of can be mossy, and you know, even if you do your thing sideways, a little bit up the tree, because sometimes moss will grow on the side of the tree, right? See that? It even looks darker with the shade. So since I used that brush for the dark green, I'm going to go ahead and use a different brush for the light green, and I'm going to put it like throughout the dark green, so it's like accent, so a little bit less than the full dark green. And then I'm going to move on. I don't even care about the yellow because it didn't really show up. So we're going to use the white and make little patches of light. And I might need to add the green back over since my white was so dominating that one area. But see, that's why you have the brush, and you just add it back over and make it a little bit more smooth. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of the green on the tree as that moss going up. Just kind of have fun with it, play with it. You know, where does that moss want to go? And you can make more layers. So now it looks pretty white to me, so I'm going to go back with the dark and I'm going to add a little bit more of the dark. So just play around with your moss until you're comfortable with its look. All right, so there's my tree. You know, nothing about it looks perfect. It looks very impressionistic. I might even want to add some leaf looking to my background of my tree because it looks very smooth, like that weeping willow look, but maybe you want to add a little bit more texture. So let's do that just in case you're feeling the same way when you look at your tree and you're like, it needs a little texture. So I'm going to take a small brush and just put a little bit of the sponge throughout of a lighter green. So feel free to revisit your art and add something if you think it might be missing or need a little finishing touch. I do like my weeping willow look. That was the first time I ever tried that look with the tree, so I do like that overall. I just feel like it needs just a little bit fluffiness of leaves or branches and on the branches. So play around, add some of those different textures and those colors. This is where your intuition comes in. Just like, where does my tree need a little bit more color? Where does it need a little bit of a lighter color or a darker color so it looks kind of more real to nature. All right, so there's mine. And I don't like all this over here, so I'm gonna add some white and some green. Ooh. There we go. We've got the different colors represented and shaded, and the moss at the bottom. So we worked on the skills with the paintbrush of the upward motion, following the template of the tree, and then also a downward motion of on the branches, as well as kind of a curve motion for the leaves of the trees with the weeping willow look, and then a lot of the dab motion for the moss and for accents of the tree. So I feel like those paint motions are really, really awesome to learn and practice, and they can be used in so many projects. So I hope you enjoyed this Grounded in Community project, and that your own tree is just as special as you are as part of this community. All right, so Liam and I are going to demonstrate now creating his tree. And Liam, I'm going to give you some options and choices because I made mine go all the way down to the ground like a weeping willow, but you wouldn't necessarily have to do that. So first, I want to know, do you want yours to look like a weeping willow or like a regular tree that might just have it at the top? So which would you like? R, E, G, U, L, and A, and R. A regular tree. Okay, so it'll look a little different then. All right, so we're going to begin with some paints here and a medium-sized brush. And I did the brown first. And what I did, Liam, is I'm going to demonstrate it first. I started at the bottom, and I went up, and I kind of went like this. An upward motion on all the branches, okay? So I'm going to have you do that by dipping the paint first in the brown. And then I added accent colors too. Yes, it's very clumpy. So we're going to start at the bottom. Now you can do that if you want. You can sponge it a little. Do you like that? Okay, so see how much it is? Let's do an upward stroke. There. And just follow it up. Doesn't have to be perfect. You got a lot of paint on there. You're going to follow that one and follow that one. Okay, I want you to go ahead and try to follow the other ones. There you go. Spread it out a little. Yeah, go ahead and dip. Whoop. Go ahead. Dip and then start at this right there and go upward that way. Yeah. It's kind of like a template, but like I said, it is just kind of an idea of where the branches can go. All right, we got at least 2 more branches here, so let's do it. Ready? Go up. Here we gotta get, do you see those branches up there? Yep, you're getting the good trunk. Awesome. Very thick trunk. Okay, so let's get these 2. I'm gonna help your hand, okay? We're gonna go upward in an upward motion on that one and that one. Perfect, okay. Now the next thing I did was I kind of pulled down on the smaller branches. So let's use a smaller brush for that, okay? I think I even used the smaller brush myself. So we're just gonna make some branches here that maybe are covered up. Okay, make it come out here if you need to. All right, let's do the very top there. I got a big chunk of paint on here. Bring it down. Yeah. Okay, can you get that white branch? You see that white one that's kind of like not covered? Right there. There we go. Awesome. And we'll just add one maybe right here so it's kind of coming out from the thick branches. All right, very, very cool. So the next step is to add a little bit of white and black. So here's the white. Go ahead and just bring, if you want to bring it down. Yeah, you can even do it that way, but I would go down. And that's like the accent colors that you might see on a tree. And then it does mix a lot. So we might need to get more white here. Okay, ready? Start at the top and just bring it down real good, all the way down. There. Now blend it a little. We got a big chunk of paint here we got to work on. Let's see. Get some white there. Get that chunk of paint off. Okay. How about we blend that top a little bit more? And move it over here. And we got to get those chunks of paint off. Our acrylic brown is very chunky, so we don't want all those chunks on there. All right, Liam, I love this impression of a tree so far. Now we're going to add a little bit of black. All right, and then it has to dry. So we'll start here. Yeah, bring some black down and blend it in. Okay, and then we're going to do it again. Let's find a branch up top and bring it down. Find a branch, bring that accent color down. Awesome. And let's go to the way top. I see a branch. Do you see it? Way up there needs some paint. Yeah, there you go. You can get that another one there too. So I might just point to Liam some of the branches I see that could be covered. How about this one? And you can make some more that don't even exist there yet. And that's all right too. Why don't we go with that? Liam kind of made some branches here of his own. So let's extend your tree upward as if those are branches. Okay, and put a little bit of white in that on this one. There you go. There. So let your child add their own branches, however it works. Okay, so this needs to dry. You happy so far? Let it dry. So I want to show Liam's tree. Very unique. You know, his branches are thicker, followed some of those template lines, and then created some of his own. Every tree is going to look a little unique, and that's perfect. And there's just a lot of freedom here. Whatever happens is totally fine. All right, so since Liam has chosen a more regular looking tree, which means branches more at the top, not like the weeping willow all the way down, we're going to focus first on the leaves, and then we'll do the moss. All right, Liam? So let's start with the dark green. You can dip it. Okay, and then we're going to bring it up way to the top. And and I'm going to hold this and start adding. You can go on this side. I might move his hand to where it needs to go, and right here. Yeah, and you can get up way up top too. But one thing about sponges is they do cause paper to kind of go back and forth. Awesome. Okay, so let's dip it again. All right, so here's your sponge brush. Dip it again, get all that up, and let's do it over here. Yeah, and sometimes it's lighter and you can see through it. That's amazing. I love it. Yeah, get a little bit up top. Okay, and let's go ahead and get some of this green. Okay, go ahead. You can add it up there. It's a lighter green. And you know, if this is annoying, I feel like this might not be the best thing right now, so we're going to switch it up. Sometimes you just have to do that, right? Let's do it this way. I think you're going to like it much better flat. It was just having so much give coming back and forth. Yeah, see? We found what we needed to do. Modification. That's the name of the game. All right, so a little bit more green. How about way over there? And why don't you go ahead here? Let's put a little bit of the darker, because we almost ran out. Get some of that darker color. And way up there. Yeah. It's up to you how much you want to fill. When I was teaching the tutorial, I told our friends that you kind of tune in intuitively and you decide where are the leaves of your tree. So, okay, some are coming down that way. And then what about way over there? And then I thought it's cool to add a little bit of an accent, like a white or a yellow. So find a spot, maybe that one right there that's open. Yeah, and yeah, you can have it coming down a little, or just kind of find spots for it. And maybe we want to blend it a little bit more there. Here. Did we get a yellow spot, a little strong right there in the corner? But that's okay. Sometimes trees have that, right? All right. So how about, do you want a little bit more white or yellow? Okay. How about up here somewhere, or wherever you want, buddy? Okay. And if you didn't want that there, you could always white it out more. But that is pretty cool. All right. So I think that looks awesome for the leaves. We're going to go ahead and do the moss now. So moss is at the bottom. So Liam, very similar to what you did. And maybe we could even use some of the darker black in it. I don't know. Let's see what that would look like. All right, put this at the very bottom, like shadowy stuff down here. So real low. This is kind of like the dirt, or it's going to be the moss. And then dip it in here and put it right there. And then go all the way across. Yeah, it's like the ground. And you can cover up that template piece. You see how they have like a little bit, but don't go up too high. Okay, and then get right over there. Yeah, okay. And then we can add a little bit of the other colors on the bottom as well. Okay, so just stick it on the bottom. Yeah, there you go. That was awesome. And just a little bit of white. I put a lot of white on mine and it looked funky. Oh, we gotta do the tree yet. So a little bit of white accent. Yeah, just like that, and do it back over. It blends it a little bit more. Oh, I love it. It almost looks like white flowers on yours growing. Look at that. And then just a little bit on the tree. We put a little bit of black and this, and we'll go up the tree together, okay? So up the tree, because sometimes moss does that. Okay, what do you think? So give me one good description word of what you think of your tree here. E-Y-E. C-A-T-C and H and I and over to it. G, eye-catching. I think it is very eye-catching, Liam. All right, we're gonna hold up our trees once they're dry, but thank you. So here are our completed trees. You can see how different and unique they are. That is the idea. Yours should look different than ours. We hope you had fun learning some of these basic art skills. We'll use these in different ways in additional projects.